Shalom mishpaka and shalom to my neighbor who is listening to this right now. So, this morning, Ruach HaKodesh was speaking to me, and what I'm about to say, which is what he said to me, is not something that is new, but it's something that we don't typically think about that often. We just kind of go into autopilot and we just do things, and we don't really sit and ponder on why we're doing them. And Abba has really been getting me to really think on why he has us to do certain things. You know what I'm saying? Because he's not just telling us to do things because it makes him feel good about himself that he can command us to do things. You know, that's not at all what's going on. But so when we consecrate ourselves, you know, a consecration is a set apart time, okay? And I'm not talking about the weekly or the annual consecrated times, because, you know, that is something that we're commanded to do. But when you set aside time that you weren't commanded to do, how much more pleasing is that to him because you chose to spend time with him rather than doing something else, okay? So that's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the consecrated times that we choose to spend with him. In these times, and you can look at it as a type of a fast because, you know, instead of watching TV or socializing or whatever it is that you would have been doing, you are spending time with him. So it's a type of fast. But when we spend time with him, we are filling up on his ruach and on his word, because in that consecrated time, you are supposed to be sitting in his presence, listening, because there's a lot that he wants to say to us that we normally can't hear because we got all this other stuff going on. And then eating of his word. So we're filling up on his ruach and filling up on his word. Okay? This is what we're supposed to do. Recently, I have been talking to Ab Yahuah, because I'm like, you know, back when I started on this ancient narrow path and I was in Christianity, there were some things that he did through me. You know, I talk about these things quite often. There were some things that he did through me, but, you know, I didn't know him like that. So whatever, it is what it is. But I was talking to him about how it seemed like those things just kind of flowed from me, whereas now it's laborious. And I asked him why. He said, there's not enough room for my ruach to work in and through you. And not saying that he hasn't done anything in and through me now that I know his name and so on and so forth, but I'm just saying to the extent as back then, it's not the same. And that's what I wanted to talk to you about today. This is what Ruach HaKodesh is talking to me about, because a lot of us go into these consecrated times or fasts with the motive of getting something out of Ab Yahuah. You know what I'm saying? We go in so we can get out. But the thing that we want to get out is a blessing or something that's going to make our life better. But we're forgetting that he also wants to put something into us. You know what I'm saying? Because it's not just a take relationship. Okay? He pours his ruach out into us so that we can do his will here on earth as it is in heaven. So the reason why the world is not seeing an abundance of miracles, the world is not seeing an abundance of his kingdom being manifested in and through his children, is because we're not spending enough time with him. And when we do spend the time with him that we spend with him, we spend it in his face, talking to him about our problems and what we want him to do about them and so on and so forth. But very few of us actually say, what do you want? Abba, here is my vessel. Pour into me the things that you want me to have so that your will be done on earth as it is in heaven. How often do we actually say this to him? And be honest with yourself. You don't have to say nothing to me about it, but be honest with him and be honest with yourself. Okay? This is what we're supposed to be doing. We are vessels. We are his servants. Okay? You remember, we are children of his estate. Through Yahusha HaMashiyakh, his only Yahad son. Okay? Yahad. Or Yahid. Okay? His son, the only son that came from him, truly came from him. Okay? We are adopted into his kingdom, and we are made children of his estate. Yahusha even said to Miriam, woman, don't you know I have to be about my father's business? We should be about our father's business. But here's the thing. Here's the thing. Some of you are about your father's business because your father is not Yahuah. It's Hasatan. So you are about your father's business. But that's all about to change. He is calling all of us into a time of consecration right now because his kingdom needs to manifest. His kingdom come on earth as it is in heaven, or in the Shamayim, whichever way you want to say it, but his kingdom come. It's time to start manifesting his kingdom, you guys, okay? And that can only happen by cleaning out our vessel. If we're sitting and watching things on TV, and I'm talking to myself too, I'm included in this. If we're sitting and watching things on TV and listening to certain types of music and engaging in certain types of activity, and we are not putting aside our old man so that he can place his ruach and his word within us. Because the more of his ruach there is, the more of his kingdom can be brought forth through us. Okay? Lay aside yourself. And yeah, this is very similar. This is a very similar message to the message that he gave me to say with lay it down and fill up. Lay down your crown, fill up on my word. This is what he's saying, right? This is what he wants us to do right now. And if you truly want his will to be done, you will follow these and you will listen to the commands of the Ruach HaKodesh. Because I know I'm not the only one he's speaking to right now. I'm simply not that important. Okay? I'm but a small cog in this wheel that he calls his kingdom. And wheel, W-H-E-E-L. I wasn't saying W-I-L-L, but I mean, W-I-L-L could still be, applied there as well. But I'm just a small cog. I know I'm not the only child that he's speaking this to. Some of you have heard this, and you still haven't done it. And the thing about it is, that is grieving Ruach HaKodesh, okay? He's only going to say it to you a few more times before he stops talking altogether. Because he's not going to force you to listen to his voice. So if you keep ignoring Ruach HaKodesh, who's been telling you to lay aside these things so that you can fill up on Ruach HaKodesh and on his word, he's going to make you deaf. He's going to take away your ability to hear. And then you're going to really be sitting there looking stupid. Real talk. Real talk. In my backslidden state, it was hard to hear his voice. And when I tell you I was so depressed, and I've said this before, if that's even a portion of what it's going to be like for eternity, separated from my Father, I don't want none of it. I don't want none of it. Do you understand? Even when I hear him rebuking me, chastising me, I should say, even when I hear him chastising me, it still brings me joy because, first and foremost, he only chastens those that he loves. And second of all, I can hear him. You know what I'm saying? Y'all don't understand the gift that hearing is. We take it for granted because some of you can do it so very easily without even a thought to it. So you take it for granted. Like I used to before I backslid. I used to take it for granted I could hear him as well as I can. I'm talking about I can hear him to where you could probably hear my voice right now. And I took that for granted. So he took it from me for a season so that I could know the gift that it is to have ears to hear and eyes to see. Do not take, no longer, after today, no longer shall you take it for granted because he will take it from you and give it to somebody who desperately wants him. Okay? All right, you guys. I pray that you're having a great day. Today, as I'm recording this, is actually New Year's Eve for witches and Satanists. This is October 31st today. So we're going to be in full-on consecration today, okay? Stay prayed up, you guys. All right? Hey, so another thing that Ruach HaKodesh was talking to me about today, once I got into work and started working, was how you hear people say sometimes, in an effort to justify their own sin, well, Yahusha ate with the sinners. Well, yeah, that was kind of the point. Seeing as how he was the only sinless person, it was kind of impossible for him not to eat with sinners. He also took 12 sinners and made them the heads of his called out assembly. He also healed the sinners. He also delivered the sinners. He also died for the sinners. That was kind of the point of him being the savior. The fact that we're all sinners and he wasn't. So using that as an excuse to continue in sin because it makes you feel like you're more righteous than someone who decides to shy away from that, trust me, you're only fooling yourself, okay? You're fooling yourself. Because the other thing that he did, so if we're going to take that argument, well, Yahusha ate with sinners, let's also take that argument. You know what? He also died for the sins of the entire world. Are you going to do that too? Are you sinless? Can you die for my sins? Because if you can't, stop comparing yourself to him. You're not him. We need him, and we're supposed to be out here pointing people to him, but ultimately he's the only savior. Don't exalt yourself into that place because you can't drink from the cup that he drank from. Okay? Simply can't. And the biggest reason of all is because none of us are without sin until he washes us clean. You see what I'm saying? He's the only way that we can become without sin. So just wanted to throw that in there because Ruach HaKodesh is talking to me about it. And like I was saying, he was saying that the reason why people say this is to justify their own sin. Now, if you truly are there and you're not participating, but you are there to be a light, this does not apply to you. This applies to the people that are drinking and smoking and just basically sinning with the world and then saying, well, Yahusha ate with the sinners. Bruh, there's no comparison. There's no comparison. There simply isn't. All right. I hope you guys have a very safe and blessed rest of your day on this day that Yahuwah has made. Shalom Aleichem.